Good morning. Who do we have in here? Taryn, how are you doing? Let me pull up get that pushed over here. I'm just getting set up real quick. What do they call it? A rotation. Looking pretty strong. Morning, Chad. How you doing? Jeff, what's going on? Are you new here? I think I'm not sure if I've seen you in here with us before. Glad to have you. Thank you for being here. I'm looking at the NASDAQ right now because this is where most of our tech stocks lay, as some of you are already aware of. And trying to identify where we can expect a reversal on some of those stocks that are in the NASDAQ. I did come to realize that a lot of our trade alerts sat in the NASDAQ, which was our top. Oh, okay. Well, glad to have you here, man. Which is our top, where most of the trades that we focused on going into December, January performed the best. Give me a second here. I'm just pushing out the word to everyone to join. Waiting for everybody to hop in here before we get started. Oh, Jeff, this is your what's your handle in Discord? Are you BBLT? Good morning, Reg. How you doing, man? All right. So everybody knows that the stimulus checks were passed and stuff like that. Everybody's expecting the markets to go green. We can look at our trading log and kind of see that we saw some dips in the markets this morning. And our trade tracker is showing that, U.S. equities are picking up ultimately. What we want to see is the VIX pull down, which it's dropped about 3.5% since I first started tracking it this morning. Good morning, Justin. How you doing? So this is what we want to see is the VIX ultimately continue pulling down, and we can see the rest of the markets pull back up. Of course, you guys know what the VIX is by now. The SPY, we needed it to stay above the 380, 350. Of course, you all know we've been watching it extensively over most of our coffee and stock sessions, but I want to start incorporating the NASDAQ a little bit more. I can clear up some of this. I was swing trading the SPY last week, hedging my account, and to be honest with you, I think we might retest that 380, 350 and pull back down in this longer term trend line that we've identified and been watching for some time now. Trying to get a good perspective on that for y'all, and then pull some of this stuff out so we can actually see. Shorter time frames over with. We broke out of that on Friday. That was that downward channel within this channel, letting us know that we were going to the bottom of the midterm channel that we've been following. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. Ultimately, what we could do, to be honest, is copy that and see if we're going to fall in the same channel going into today. But I'm going to wait for the markets to open and see how we react first before I speculate on that. I'm going to pull some of these price ranges out. Like I said, we need to watch for the 380, 350 going into today and how it rebounds and reacts to that in market open. I am scanning the markets to see what else is moving, even with the markets being a little wonky and pulling down. I did a review on BNGO yesterday. I might do some option calls on it going into today. OCGN's on the list to watch. Found some strong support around the 744 and bounced off of it. Looking forward to retest those 1122s ultimately. Honestly, could readjust that for a better level of resistance right around the 1195. And then the longer term trend on it is looking pretty healthy as well. If I were to do it like this and extend. Where's it at? Where's it at? Oh, wrong thing. That's why. But something I'm gonna have on the watch list today, as you can see, is bouncing right off that longer term trend, compressing in an ascending triangle. We could bounce out above it, above that 1195. That'll give us about, what is that, $3? So somewhere near about 20 to 30%, depending on how it reacts to that 1195 if we were to hop into this. Some more things on the list is GEVO, GEVO. Wanted to look at this with you guys actively. Let's see if we can identify our trend here. It's right there. Boom. And then some resistance levels that I want to identify with this one is right there around the 1167. Currently at 717. That'll give us about $4.40. So close to, just doing this off the top of my head, that's what, $2 or $3, $4.50. So you can look about a 40 to 50% swing on that. That's only if the markets don't take a dump on us this morning. But I'll definitely be looking at potentially shorting the SPY again this morning. I want to see where Tesla is. A lot of people focused on EV plays and stuff of that nature. I said that we were looking at going back to 502. It broke to about 539. I actually think it was less than that Friday. It was 540. Okay, so, but if we continue to see a pullback on it, we're going to continue to see a pullback in the EV space. So you can buy some of those stocks pretty cheap and ride them longer term. I'm still putting together our EV portfolio here at Millennial Investments that we'll be riding out and buying in positions as we move forward, as they continue to creep down. But hopefully we can bounce off of this and continue back to the upside, get it back above those 607s that we wanted to stay above. I said that if it broke below 607, we were going back to 500. It's not looking like that is impossible. A lot of people, thinking Tesla is going to continue moving up because stocks only go up, right, from what everybody tells us. But I want to closely monitor the markets. I think that Stimulus was already priced into the expectation of the markets. With them being as high as they already are, it's hard to really, pull above that. As you can see, we're already headed back to that 380, 350 level. I want to see how it reacts. Closer to 8 o'clock, I'll be paying attention to it. I think we'll be able to break above it. I'll pull in my momentum indicators in here for us so we can actually see. We were having an EMA crossover that was concerning going into pre-market, but it's ultimately bouncing back up. And that's on the 5-minute though. So if we look at our other time frames, you can see the bounce starting to build. But it could ultimately bounce off that RSI and continue dropping down. So, but as far as I know, the 10-year Treasury yield continues to move higher, which will continue to push up inflation concerns and stuff of that nature. But it's natural with the economy picking back up. You're going to see those interest rates start picking back up to correlate with it. It only makes sense. And the fact that the interest rates were dropping so low is one of the catalysts for the markets continuing to stay strong, even though the economy was pulling back, because people were able to buy houses, get loans a lot easier, especially for business loans and stuff like that. But with inflationary rates increasing, you're going to see a decrease in that. So that's just something to expect moving forward. But like I said, we really need to watch that 380, 350. I was hoping, as you can see, in after hours, we actually stood strong above it. That was before the Senate even announced they passed the stimulus package. Excuse me. And of course, now there was a bunch of amendments done, so it's going back to the House of Representatives, and they'll vote on the new amendments. I'm pretty sure they're going to push it through, steamroll it through the process, and pass it back to Biden so he can sign off on it. They're expecting stimulus checks to be in hand before the tax deadline of April for most people. So. And I'm not sure if they discussed it, but potentially extending the tax deadline. I think some of the benefits from the stimulus package required 2020 tax filing. So that's another thing too. The IRS, to keep up with the IRS, was already stating that they were seeing a large influx, about 25 to 30% increase of taxes being filed, so it was holding up processes. So you got to think about that when it comes to the stimulus package. In order for people to access that liquidity, there's a whole nother set of criteria that has to be taken care of. It's not, of course, the stimulus checks coming straight to you, but additional benefits that come from the stimulus package won't be obtained until you file your taxes. So I want to look back at our list a little bit more. IDX, we were talking about that at the end of the week last week, and it's currently showing that it was bouncing there for a minute. I'm gonna look at the longer time frames and see where we're at with them. I mean, it definitely has a platform to get back at least above this longer term trend line, but ultimately was weighed down by the markets. So looks like I'll be mainly focusing on hedging my account by some day swing short put options on the SPY. I'm really closely watching the NASDAQ a little bit more than we have, due to the tech sector in the NASDAQ. It looks like we're bouncing off of that 12,465 pretty strongly, so hopefully we can stay above that. But of course, I don't speculate much in pre-market until market opens. I just basically want to provide you with, things to keep an eye on. So that's definitely something we'll be paying attention to. E-bond looks like it's setting up pretty well too, regardless of what the markets do. So keep an eye on it moving forward. Let me pop it up on my other screens just so I can look at it. 1 minute looks pretty nice. 5 minutes still has some corrections, but it looks like it's conducting a crossover. We can look at it on the 5. Yeah, we're green on the 5. And what I pay attention to the most is the 1 hour trends. So basically you can kind of get an idea of where these stocks are going to be in the next hour. But also, we always keep in mind that, when we're in this downtrend, as you can see, this downtrend being the red EMAs, when stocks try to rebound, they'll typically run into some resistance around the 34 EMA, and that's why I pay attention to that pretty well. And as you can see, this previous support level right here at the 606 or 645, excuse me, sits right around where that 34 EMA is. So I'd watch it around the 645, get some confirmation that we're actually going above it. Funny thing, I shared with the Facebook group, AMC actually hit my scanner, which is surprising. I'm not looking at getting into it at all, but I mean, it is propping up. I'm not saying this isn't going to bounce, but definitely something to watch for entertainment, if you would, going into the week. I've been saying that it needed to stay above the 837 if it really was going to do anything, and then it would retest, I think, the $11 time frame or price range around the 1108 to be exact. And its most recent breakout about a week or two ago actually found resistance at those levels. So, you know, it might find the momentum to go above it. I'm not saying it's not going to, especially with all the social sentiment behind it and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm not getting into the trade. I'm not willing to risk anything to get into it. Somebody brought up SNDL. I think that was BBLT, Jeff there. You know, it needs to stay above the 113 ultimately, or it may lose compliance. It needs to stay above $1 ultimately, or it may lose compliance. I think they're with, let me see who they're with, listed under. I can't remember. NASDAQ. So you have to stay above $1 for, I think, at least. If you go below $1 for more than 7 days, then you have risk of losing compliance. And you know, we might see. I know Steven's really been pushing on that. We might see what we saw with ACB, Aurora Cannabis, where they had to do a stock split in order to ultimately get their stock price above $1, which, you know, may hurt some people right now that are currently invested in it. But when ACB did that, I think it was, I can't remember when they did their stock split, but I can look at it real quick. I remember watching it. It hit like $8 and then it bounced to like 13. It was back here, I believe in November or something like that. What's up, Steve? Glad you're here. I think it was back in November when they did their stock split. It may have been, yeah, I think it was either further back. It could have been. I'm not sure. I'm not going to speculate. Oh, there it is, right there, stock split. So, as you can see, it jumped up to jumped up to $20 after conducting theirs. So, you know, definitely something to watch out for. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but something, I was doing some research on SNDL, you know, to see if it was something I wanted to stay in moving forward. And I ultimately I was looking at their presentation from their quarterly earnings report and their full year end report. And they specifically stated how Canopy Growth Corporation was actually performing better and taking market share, revenue growth since, you know, March 2020. And so I'm pretty interested in Canopy Growth Corporation moving forward in the cannabis space. Of course, you have TL-Ray, which I think Alpha actually ran second to CGC, which is I'm sorry, not Alpha. Well, I say Alpha, APHA, but Aferia. They're currently trading at $15 right now, but of course the merger with Tilray is expected to come soon. So, you know, I'm really interested in doing the math on basically where this is going to put the stock price ultimately. But for right now, I'm focusing on CGC. I actually dove into more DD on CGC after conducting that DD on SNDL and identifying that ultimately switched my attention over to CGC. And I went all the way back to March 2020 to now, March 2021, and they're doing pretty well. They're doing a lot of diversification, rebranding, updates on their portfolio and what they're bringing to the market. So they actually have the largest market share in the eastern side of Canada, and they're focused on their U.S. Markets a lot more. now that they've established that with Canada. And what they're doing is they're actually scaling back some of their production. I think they pulled back on like 40% of their executives and stuff like that. Um, and so I I expect them to be able to marginalize better, meaning, get more profits, net profits out of their growth moving forward with this scale back. And they're actually, what they're working to do is still conduct the same production rates with lower production facilities. So that's definitely something to watch with them. Baltimore, $5 2020 calls on SNDL on the dip. Um, I wouldn't. I'm not disagreeing with that. I was actually one of the advocates that was going in on buying SNDL calls with you into 2021. But definitely, disappointed with the stock being pulled down the way it is. Want to see it move higher. We can go back to it for just a second before we look back at the markets as we get closer to 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is a very key moment in the morning to see what's going to happen in the markets. And I'm actually going to readjust this new line that I added. I don't know where it went. Let's see. There it is. Let me get that right real quick. But definitely something to watch right there is exactly at the $1 price range. The fact that it bounced right off of it. So, Jeff, for you guys that aren't aware, Jeff is in our Discord community at Investors Talk, and he's been buying a SNDL call, a $5 SNDL call every Friday for almost a month now. Is that right, Jeff? Correct me if I'm wrong. And I actually said that I was going to start participating with him in it. Of course, I got rid of my SNDL calls because I was hedging the entire market. I'm pulled out of almost everything in my personal account, and about 20 to 30% of my positions in my Millennial investments account, and that included those SNDL calls. So I actually have to catch back up with you, Jeff, on buying some more of those calls. But I'm pretty sure I can get them a lot cheaper. 50 cent, yeah. Or are they 50 cents? Let's see. Not 50 cents. $50. Let me see. June or January. Are you buying these $2 calls, Jeff? Or the I buy as many as I can, not $5, 50 cents. Okay, I got you. Are you buying? So you're going after $2 or the 2.5, $2.56 calls on that? Holding 3,000 shares of SNDL. Yeah, man, I really hope it works out for you, Steve. I'm rooting for you. First and foremost, don't ever think I'm not. This is the current trend line based off of it hitting that $1 range there. Hopefully we can ride that longer term trend line and continue moving forward. I'm going to pull my indicators out here so we can actually see the stock price. I know I have all these trend lines that I've been tracking on it. But ultimately, this should have been a break point for it to, continue moving forward. Hopefully that's what occurs. 50 cent calls. I know, but what's your strike price, Jeff? Is what I'm asking you. So looking at it from right here, is it the $2.50 strikes or the $2? I'm guessing it's the $2.50. John just bought 10,000 shares of it. With it pulling back the way it is, I wouldn't disagree with doing it at this point. It's at a pretty low point. I've been tracking SNDL since it was at 52 cents. We actually pushed that alert back in December. I think most of you know that by now. But and it's still actually up pretty well. I think still 100%. Or yeah, it is. So, but I don't have the position that we had when we started that. So just full disclosure there. Good morning, Justin. How are you doing, man? Also, while we all are here, I have about 13 more minutes to sit with you guys, and then I'm taking my daughter to school, and then I'm coming back for a live stream going into market open. Is there any stocks? We have about 13 minutes until that happens. Is there any stocks you guys want to look at? I'm going back over the list to see if anything's changed on my end, and things to look at. A lot of the things that are standing out to me on my scanner are mining companies and precious metals. So, for instance, CDE. I don't know how much I like it, though. Not really. HL. And you guys know the setups that I'm looking for. But for the most part, it looks like a lot of these correlate. Potential bounce off of this, I'd like to see this somewhere near the 441. That's AQMS. Ticker AQMS. Let's see. GoPro was on my list last week. Looks like it was trying to bounce above that 813. Huh? Beta's awake? Okay. Guys, give me 1 second. I have to go get my daughter now. Ford. DPW. Give me 1 second. Oh, all right, I'm back, guys. I'm sorry. Still holding forward at 457. Good morning, Antoine. Glad to see you here. Predictions on BNGO. That was actually the first request. We'll look at that first, because I actually did a review on it yesterday. I'm not sure if you saw that on the YouTube channel. Who is that? Julian. I'm actually shooting for this to go at least back to 939 and retest those levels. But of course, we need to see the rest of the markets continue to push higher. Let's see where the SPY is in correlation to this right now. Kind of get an idea. We're currently at 383.34. Like I said, we need to get above 383.50. Glad to see the chats breaking out. I guess it's because Steve's here. But I appreciate that. Most definitely. But yeah, we're definitely looking at a swing on BNGO. I did some strong DD. They have a Sapphire device that's focused on basically identifying blood cancers and what else was it? I did a full breakdown of this company. They just acquired Lineagen, which is focused on. Let's see. Let me pull my stuff up. All right, so they focus on constitutional genetic diseases, neurodevelopment disorders, to be exact, and then blood cancers. And they use their Sapphire system to identify these diseases that are missed by existing systems currently on the market, which they're actually expecting to capture at least 20% more than out of those missed diagnosis. And then it offers an alternative to traditional cysto methods by offering a one-stop shop for detecting all SVs recommended by medical guidelines. Their current market opportunity is about 2.6 to 3.8 billion based on selling only 10,000 of these systems. So if they can sell 20, 30,000, you can multiply it at that rate, and you can kind of understand where their market cap's going to go in the long run. But let's see what else. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, they're focused on ALS, Alzheimer's disease, hepatocellular, I can't even say this word, disorder of sex development, leukemia, epilepsy, and development delay, congenital diaphragmatic hernias. So it works on a plethora of diseases, and that's a good thing because it's not just centered on one thing. And once you bring a solution to just one type of disease, that's one thing. But when you have a multitude, that makes a difference. So I want to look at what their market cap currently is, and we can kind of get an idea of where they could head if they're able to actually hit that goal of 10,000. And BNGO. So they currently have a market cap of 2.93 billion, excuse me. So if they're able to capture, those 10,000 cells, then they would actually double their current worth. And so they'll be around $14 or so, $14 to $20, give or take. But of course, you got to consider that this is a pharmaceutical type company, and typically they do a lot of stock offerings to access some of the liquidity that they get from the markets to dump into research. So you could see that kind of pull back and weigh down on the actual stock price moving forward. But ultimately, I think that, this could easily go $20, $30. But as of right now, I always focus on what's in front of us, and I like to be realistic. Right now, what I'm looking at is potential entry into it today, or at least some option calls on it, till about the $9 to $10 price range. $9.39 is what I want to see it retest and break above. If I put an equity position in it, I would get it now, hold it until $9.39, let it bounce above those levels of resistance. They were previous levels of support, let me state that, but I think they're going to act as resistance moving forward. All right, so if they bounce above that 936, or 939, as I always say, let's see if we find this strong enough momentum to find support above those levels, and then I'll let this run to 1322, and then go from there. So that's my expectation on it. I have a more in-depth video on it on the channel if you want to look at that, Julian. DPW, Steve wanted to look at. Currently at 316. I mean, that's cheap to me from where it was currently trading at. When I first hopped in, it was around 620 or so, like that. So it's on discount for 50% in my opinion. Of course, it broke its longer term trend due to the past 2 weeks market pullback, allowing for you to hop in it pretty cheap. This is an EV charging station company. They also do Bitcoin mining. And is there anything else they do, Steve? I really need to do more in-depth DD on it myself, but I'm basically keeping up with it based on what you provided us with it. So let me know. Ultimately, though, with DPW, I think you'd feel safe if you hopped in it right now, feeling safe above the 365 and staying above those levels, and then breaking that 454. You can let this run and scalp as it goes. But like I said, when I traded in it, it was right here, and I was looking forward to find that support above the 638. And it actually bounced off that through that 638 and hit about 797. So let me see. I'll do a more in-depth video on this, Steven, just so I can get all my DD, look at the fundamentals, and a Bitcoin mining facility that's about 600,000 square feet. That's pretty large, and I used to do Bitcoin mining, so and I used to study how these mining farms were set up and things like that, and it's crazy when you actually see. Went to $7. Yeah, it did. So now I'm in again at 270. Yeah, I forgot you got in last Friday around 275. I definitely hold that, Steve, for the long run. It looks like you can get 200-300% off of that easy, just sitting on this one. But I'm definitely going to do a more in-depth video on it. Ford. Jeff wanted to look at Ford. I had actually did some analysis on the trend for Ford last week. Seems like it has a steady growth rate, even though the SPY's pulled back a lot. It's continued to push higher. Of course, everybody knows that Ford is getting into the EV market. They already released their, or are about to release their Mustang, or I think they already have, and it's hitting the market now, meaning it's finally hitting dealerships. What I mean by releasing it to the public for buying. But ultimately, my pick over Ford would be GM, and that's only because they're working on 11 vehicles now, and they're looking to have a 34 car. Yeah, exactly. You read my mind, Steve. But GM is looking at having at least 34 EVs released in the next few years. So I'm actually going to do a more in-depth video on it as well, just because I own a GM and I like GM. They could do things better. Of course, everybody could. So give me 1 minute. Give me 1 second. Oh, it looks like it's that time for me to head out here in a second. Hey guys, so I'm about to take my daughter to school real quick. I don't know if you guys want to hang out in the chat for about 10 minutes, and I'll hop back in and we can continue moving forward. Let me know what you guys think, but I'm gonna have to run real quick. All right, I'll put it on the SPY, and I can set it on the NASDAQ as well, so you guys can watch it. Let me hide my indicators. Like I said, 383.50 is key level, and it's currently trading above that now, so hopefully we can stay there. And then in Q. But I'll be right back, ultimately. All right, guys, I'm back. Thank you guys for sticking around for a few minutes for me. Well, I went and took care of that. So go back up the list real quick. We were at DPW. As you can see, we're breaking 384.13 on the SPY. I'm gonna pull this out actually and look at the NQ real quick to see where those futures are headed. Just so we know where the tech sector is going. We did some analysis on it earlier, but for some reason it didn't stick. What is it, the QQQ? No, that's not that. Anyways, NQ. I could have swore I was just looking at this earlier. I don't know why it's not sticking. Oh, there it is. Took a minute to pop up for us. But what we wanted to see was it staying above that 12,465 moving forward. We can look at our daily trading log. I'll track it one more time before market opens. We've got about 17 minutes before that occurs. As you can see, U.S. equities going green. We were sitting at a score of 1 overall. I'm not sure how well you guys can see that. I can zoom in here a little bit. We were sitting at a 1, which had me thinking that this could go either way, basically. But we picked up to a 3. Typically, it sits between 3 and 5. Yeah, we can definitely look at it some more, though. But you know, like I said earlier, we need the VIX to continue coming down, which it's came down at least 5% since I first tracked it at 6:30 this morning, 6:40, and that's what we want to see. Crude's coming down. I'm not sure how many people have any stocks in crude. Just watch out for that. That's the overall sector. The CTL, WTI and the Brent is what I track on that right there. Copper's coming down, so you typically see copper as a hedge in precious metals when the markets are going to come down. So the fact that it's down this morning gives us a +1 actually to our overall scorecard. Looks like the SPY's going green, the Dow's going green, and the Russell, but we want to see the NASDAQ pull up ultimately. 17 minutes. But to look at some of the trades you guys wanted to pop into, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. I think GNOG was one, GNOG. Yeah, that is true, man. Gold. We looked at Golden Nugget, and when we did, I think it was on a Saturday session, so it was about a week ago. It looks like, or no, a few weeks ago, back in February. I'm on the daily chart. Let me look at it now. Go to the 4-hour real quick, and we can run over it real fast and then go from there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to re-identify from scratch just so you guys can have an idea. Golden Nugget IPO'd apparently back in December, and I typically don't do these types of stocks because they don't, for one, provide me with a very good fundamental background to go off of. As you can see, they haven't been able to report anything at all, but we can still identify, our levels to pay attention to on the technical analysis side and things like that. But I typically am off target when it comes to these things, but ultimately staying above that 1340. As you can see, it was a level of support. It broke down below it due to last week's pullback, and has been coming down since the week before that. But as you can see, the markets are reversing from what we saw Friday. The markets were trying to pull back. We watched that very extensively because I was doing some day trade options on that, and actually doubled my portfolio then. I'm going to look at doing some more options on the SPY depending on how market opens. I really want to see what that reaction is going to be and where our momentum is at that point. But looking at GNOG, I think Shad asked about it, if I'm correct. I'm going back through the chat now to make sure. Give me a second. Yeah, Shad did. So, short term, look forward to stay above the 1353 once the markets reverse and gets back to the all-time highs. You could actually see this pick back up. What I like to do is see where the price correlates with each other. So let me break that real quick, and I can move it up. So it's following the SPY pretty well. If the SPY goes back up to 3394 areas, then we can expect this to come back to 41 and retest those levels. Of course, we would need high pressure to the upside on the SPY overall to continue moving higher above that. I'm not saying that the company can't do it on its own and have its own catalyst or anything like that, but I'm basically tracking these trades based on the SPY movements. So as you can see, it correlates very well with that. I can pull this down just a little bit so you can see that they are pretty much the same, but I just like to see how they correlate. The 383.62 is a good signal to stay above it on the SPY. Go back into that a little bit more in depth. I know we all have been watching the futures pretty heavily. As you can see, I've been doing a lot of analysis on it and trying to track the trend. And we've been doing pretty well with doing that. And as you can see, we're now in this new channel to the upside, higher end of the midterm channel we've been trading in. But we have to stay above that 383.50. Now we could bounce up to about the 385.75 and then break back down. And inflation is still going up. I actually want to see where the 10-year Treasury yield is now as of this morning. I think CNBC provides that. Yeah. So it's still climbing, and as long as it continues climbing, you can expect. Let me see what the 1 day looks like. All right, 5 day. We're currently sitting at 1.5610. 158 is what it's saying overall, but as that continues to move up, that's something to pay attention to, because that's what this whole movement is, quote unquote, being based off of. And it makes sense. Like I said earlier, it's inflation. So that only correlates with the economy opening back up. And we'll continue to see that increasing moving forward, which takes away from being able to, get business loans, mortgages. The housing market did well through the pandemic due to the fact that mortgage rates were so low and people took advantage of the opportunity to buy houses. So we saw a lot in the housing market. Construction market did pretty decently throughout the pandemic. I tracked that the entire time because I'm in the construction industry myself. But definitely something to keep in mind moving forward. And it's currently pulled back just a little bit. So it sounds like I need to add a 10-year Treasury yield indicator right here on our overall scorecard so we can see, track how that's performing in correlation with the rest of the markets. As you can see, we're going green overall. U.S. equities up about 0.84% combined, and the S&P is currently up 0.69%. I think it was sitting at 384.27. So hopefully we can ride this support line. This support line could ultimately help us break out of this midterm trend, is what I'm hoping for. But we could find rejection at the same time, so keep that in mind. Hopefully the momentum to the upside, though, send this through the roof, basically, or to the moon, as a lot of people say. I'll pull in my indicator so we can see, our momentum. Current momentum right now on the 10-minute looking pretty strong to continue to the upside. I'd follow this EMA till about right there, so about the 385.46 is what I'm really going to be paying attention to. I won't make any calls or puts on the SPY until I see it either break through that or break down, and I might buy some put options right there to hedge the markets pulling back. So let's look at some more of the stocks you guys wanted to look at. RMO is something I've been pushing in the EV space for some time now. It's currently trading at 985 right now, right above that 960 support level. We need to stay above that. Of course, you need to track Tesla and these EV plays and where it's currently at and what it's currently doing. It's at 602.99. It needs to be above 607 to continue moving forward. and back, reverse back to the upside. Hopefully we can see Tesla back at like the 800s, and if we do, then we can expect the rest of these stocks to follow pretty well. I'm gonna put the price points right there so you can see. Tesla goes back to 700, we can expect this to go back to 13 at least from this point. What I want to see is a 100% run on it, which is actually an $18 call that I have on it. About the 1917 actually is the level of resistance I'm paying attention to on it. And if we compress this a little bit, if Tesla were to go back to about the 850s, 880s, then we could see this correlate and double up a position on this right now. XL fleet, I think that's XL. Yeah, XL. Yeah. XL fleet. I mean, everything's propping up properly going into the market reversal. Of course, we saw that strong pullback on everything. Nice chart for upside play. What's that? For RMO? Yes, indeed. And if you look on our YouTube channel, I did a very in-depth DD analysis on it, along with a trend analysis and fundamental analysis. The company's a great company. They're expected to jump and I'm referring to RMO. They're expected to jump 171% in revenue by 2025. It's going to multiply their market cap 2-3x. So, and they have about 225 billion, I believe, in the U.S. and Europe markets, with a $665 billion market cap overall globally. So there's a lot of things they can tap into. They're actually providing the batteries for Nikola, NKLA, Peterbilt, Freightliner, and there was another one I can't think of off the top of my head right now. Let me look. I have it in my notes. So I've been doing a lot better on collecting my DD in a spot that I can access it pretty quickly. Peterbilt, Kenworth, and Freightliner. They're also partnered with Borg Warner, which is a electric propulsion company, electric component and propulsion system manufacturer, which brings in about $14 billion a year annually, and they have a 10% stake in RMO. A lot of this company from RMO is actually engineers from Tesla, SpaceX, and I think Amazon, and they're focused on an AI system for lithium-ion batteries. So, wonderful company, in my opinion, to get into. Buying cheap right now, currently on sale for 50 cents off, 50% off right now, if you ask me. So that's a lot of companies that we've been looking at too, though, at the same time. To get back to for Fabrizio's request on XL fleet real quick. Good morning, J-Dub, by the way. I'll see you down there. Glad to have you with us. Apparently I've done some analysis on it before because, like I said, it hit our trade alert system. And I was paying attention to this longer term trend line. It broke down below it. So you're buying it much cheaper than where it was at before, of course, along with everything else. I feel like I'm repeating that daily now. But currently need to see it back at the 1425s. Let me see where that support level that it's currently at lands, and we'll kind of go from there with it. Let's see. Got about 5 minutes till market open here. So bounced off the 1002, up 1141. So I think you still have a great buy zone in it right now to pay attention to. So anything between 1002 and 1338 is definitely a buy zone, with the fact that this could go easily back to $20, $18 to $20 once the market's reversed. I'm going to actually identify this differently so we can keep track of those predictions. But see how it plays at that 1338. If we get above it, then let it run. Fabrizio would be my suggestion there. TLT 138. Strong pullback. Oh man. And it looks like it's been on a downtrend for some time now, since about August. TLT is the iShares 20-year Treasury bond ETF, and it's pulled back because of course interest rates have pulled back, but I think it's a good play on Jeff's part in getting in it now, due to the fact that interest rates are going to pick back up. So definitely a good play to hop in on. I'm not sure if you're still here with us, Jeff. If you guys could let me know who's still here, feel free, so I know who I'm talking to. But yeah, I like TLT. TLT goes up, the SPY comes down, and vice versa. As well, it's somewhat like an indicator for the VIX, and how it correlates with the SPY. I want to look at our market overall going into today. It looks like we're going green on U.S. equities. All right, you're still here. So yeah, with TLT, like, I think that's a good play. Are you trying to just get a few shares of it, or are you doing some option calls on it? What are you doing with it? What's your strategy there, if you don't mind sharing with us? But yeah, definitely bottomed out. I think it's flatlined to where it was back in 2019. Good morning, Reg. How you doing, man? I'm not sure. I think I said that to you earlier, but thank you for sticking around with us. I know some people had to go. But yeah, TLT bounced off that 136.63, which correlated all the way back to 2019, into 2019 as a level of support for some time. So I think it'll bounce right off of that. I think it's a great play at this point. I didn't even think to look at that, actually. So thank you for bringing it to my own attention. I'm not sure what the options on this look like. They're not that bad, though. You can buy some monthlies here pretty easily, pretty cheap. Of course, I would look at some longer term options on this, and I would actually be willing to pay that price due to the fact that it's, interest rates aren't just going to jump in a matter of days or a matter of months. They're going to pick up slowly. I did some DD on the U.S. 10-year Treasury yield and, where it was in times of crisis and things like that. At its lowest point, I think it was at like 56, which was, let me go back a little bit. I think it may have been lower than that. Where are we at? We're 2020. It dipped all the way down to 51% Treasury yields, and we're up about 200% on that. So definitely something to watch going into. We got a few minutes before market open, about a minute. So I'm going to see where the SPY is right now. Still sitting above that 380, 350. That's what we wanted to see on the SPY overall. Or 383, 384.43 actually. So, but we're above that 383.50 is what I've been calling out, and we need to continue paying attention to that moving forward. So, but something that's catching my interest is this 384.76 level. Of course, it did gap up. I can look at the ES futures. We did gap up above that. Wrong signal. Sorry, guys. Going into yesterday, when the futures opened. But we ultimately pulled back, of course, and I was tracking that as well. Why is it not popping up? All right, market just opened for me. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the spot and see how we're pulling back or pulling up. Looks like we might see some slight rejections going into this morning. But ultimately, I think we'll bounce right off of this. You see the EMAs are right on that trend line. I think it's going to be strong enough to hold it up and continue pushing it up. But I'm going to allow it to fall down first before I do any call options, because I can get them a lot cheaper. That's even if it goes down. But let's see what happens around the 384.76 first. And we just popped above it. But it looks like it's running into a wall there. As you can see, it dropped down a little bit on us. Let me pull this out. I don't need it anymore. Yeah, it looks like we're pulling back. And I'm going to look at my options on this. Takes a second for those to load. Anytime I do SPY calls or puts or anything, I typically use weeklies because they're day trades. So and I do them on 7 or 14 days out. Of course, I might be doing something. It all depends on price for the contract, and it also depends on the delta for me ultimately in making my decisions on that. Currently at 384.16. So it looks like we're pulling back here. I might go ahead and look at doing some some uh, puts on it because of the fact that the 10-year Treasury yield is still picking up. We can expect uh, those same concerns about inflation playing a part in the markets moving forward. But you can see it's bouncing off that top 13 EMA. So I want to see, before I jump the gun or anything like that, I want to see how it reacts. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and identify my entry. I think I'm going to do like a 365 or 364. Although I don't expect it to go there, I ultimately think we're going to go to 368 in the end of it all. Let me see what my 14 days look like. A little bit more higher. And then I ultimately decided based on open interest as well. So, I could pay some crazy amount of money for some of these contracts. Or I can just be smart and pay a little bit less. Currently broke 384. Look at that drop off. What's up, Dorito? Dorito Dorm. I think this is the first time you joined us. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're currently watching the spot right now just to see how it reacts to this 383.50 level before I make a potential option on it, whether up or down. We're currently in this midterm, high end of this midterm trend that we've been following. And I just want to see, like I said, we had to stay above the 383.50. If we break below that and we bust through those EMAs, then I'm calling put options all the way back, at least to 373. And I can honestly buy, I like Mondays because I can buy my option and honestly hold them throughout the week and just let them run and just snatch up money all the way through the week. But I'm just being cautious and assuming that, it's going to be a terrible pullback and stuff like that. Back down to the downside, of course, like I said earlier, the 10-year is definitely continuing to move higher. It's currently up 0.3%, 0.03%, excuse me. So let's see what happens. We're headed down, and at the same time, I can pull up a second tab. We can have the looking for the all right, broke 383.50. Wasn't able to hold. Highly interested in some put options. So what I'm gonna do is I've been using the same $300 on my options for this spot. And I split it in half. I'm willing to spend $145 on one, which I'll make about $16 for every dollar it drops moving forward. And then I'll catch it on the flip side. Now, I was just about to buy that put option, and as soon as I did, the market started trying to pick back up. So, look at the lower time frames just to see what our momentum's telling us. Yeah, it's about to fall. So, I'm going to go ahead and buy my 145 put option for 368. Let's see if it'll allow me to hop in there real quick. Of course, my system's been drawn down because I have so much running on this iMac. Even though it's an iMac, it's still having issues keeping up with the performance I need from it. It's an older iMac too, so I need to upgrade it. Upgrade it. So what I'm having to do now is hop on my phone and basically, I wonder if this is going to pull back up just a little bit for me so I can get it at that 145. That'd be nice. Where's it at now? Let's see. So I'm looking at a, oh man, it already jumped to 154 on me because we broke 383. Don't want to, get ahead of myself. Yeah, I'm getting it. So 150. buying a put option for 150, 368. Let's see where. Oh no, I was able to capture it for 145. My order actually went through while I was adjusting it. So, looking at this continuing to come down today. If it doesn't print, I'll go ahead and hop out of it. If it shows signs of turning around, then I will sell that and then buy a call option. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to happen. I feel like inflation's still going to weigh down on the markets moving forward. So that's why I was mainly looking for a put option. I was hoping that we would stay above this trend line that we are going on within this midterm trend line, which is our green lines we've been paying attention to. So definitely gonna see what happens with that today. I think it's already green so far, but you know, I'm not sure how many people are comfortable with buying put options or anything like that. But it looks like we're trying to pull back just a little bit. So I could have got that option for a little bit cheaper than what I bought it for. It's only down $10 right now, but it's bouncing off that 383.50. Which means I could probably buy some more of these options a lot cheaper than what they were this morning. And basically I do a ladder approach where I'll buy the next option up above me, which would be around the 369. But the fact that I was able to get this for 145, I'm only looking at putting $300 towards this. I could actually spend, maybe this 165 right here, and I'll be a few dollars over that $10 mark or $300 mark. Let's see what the markets are doing. It looks like we're having some resistance issues above the 384. What is that? 384.76. So I'm gonna wait just a little bit in order to capture some of those gains. Currently, yeah, there it goes. It's jumping. So I'm gonna see if I can capture some options at those levels. If we find another rejection, of course, this is an ascending triangle, so this could ultimately compress here and break out. But like I said, the treasury yields are still picking up. I'm not sure if that has weighed on everyone enough where people are like, okay, and now they're hopping back into the markets and buying up things that they've been waiting to hop on. Already down $20 on that put option. We were down last week too on some of these options that we were calling, but we ultimately doubled out our account by just being patient. Ultimately, the reason I'm more for put options is because for this midterm, these two green lines, the midterm trend lines, and the diagonal trend you see there, we've been sticking true to it, and we're at the higher end of it right now. So I expect this to kind of pull back on us. So I'm looking at 370 now. It's at 145. I could honestly do 371 and make an extra dollar per dollar it goes down. But I want to capture this at the top of its run. Now, if it breaks above that 387, 384.76, I might just close out all put options altogether. Let's look at it on the 1 minute. Looks like it might retest that a little bit, but ultimately what I'm paying attention to is my MACD indicators, my RSI being high, and the fact that we're running into that 384.76 level of resistance. Might break through it a little bit, but that'll just give me some of these at discount, which is fine. So I'm just going to do a ladder approach. All right, there we go. Above it. Seeing some slight churn there. There we go. About to hop 385. Could probably buy one of these contracts at the 372 strike. Or 373 strike for about 150 is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to let it run. Ultimately, I'm looking at how it reacts to these levels now that we broke that. Everything's pretty high on RSI as far as time frames with the SPY, and that's my concern while I'm kind of kind of looking at the put side of things. Come on down. So this ultimately tells me that our BNGO run might be running now. Currently trading at 765. I'm looking at a a call on it. Let's see. We can go for April, probably by the 150s or 170s. I could go a little bit longer out and pay about $100 more, but I'm not too sure I want to do that with the markets potentially pulling back if we hit this line. Of course, I could be wrong here, and we can, top out at this line and break through, and that's when I'll go buy my my call options. But we still need that confirmation though. It's pushing up pretty hard. Let's see what our overall scorecard's looking like. The VIX has continued moving down. I'm going to go ahead and track market open now. The more it goes up, the better these option prices come down. So that I'm looking at. Now, if you take into account what everybody's been assuming is that, these bigger guys are basically setting us up, be careful here. Because they can make it look like we're running, people start dumping money into the market, and then ultimately it just pulls back on us. Now you're caught because you think the markets are taking off. It's all about being cautious. It's not saying that it's not going to happen. It's not saying that the market's going to continue moving higher. It's not saying that it's not a good time to buy some of these stocks cheap. Things of that nature. It's just being cautious. Because we've been watching this for weeks. Now, I did say once we hit this, last week, I did say if we hit this top line that we could potentially break out of it on a triple top. But we could also have a triple top rejection at the same time. And all this is doing for me is bringing these prices down, which is fine with me. Yep. Look at that. Looks like I didn't fill my order again. But I'm going to leave it be. Down $45 on my first put option, by the way. There we go. Just captured that second one. Ultimately, because I think this is going to have issues jumping above it. It might swing just a little bit more, but let's see what happens. I'm not stressing it too much, though, because I have the buying power to make up any loss that I'm taking currently, which is $52 loss on this $100 small account challenge. Still up about $625 since I started. See that rejection I was talking about? See how that plays out. And what I'm paying attention to is our MACD indicator. So, overall, I'm down 30% on that initial call. I'm up 2% on the secondary one. So, depending on how this reacts, I might buy this 475, this 386 put option for 470. I'll make $51 for every dollar it drops after that. but ultimately I'm watching. I'm wondering if the 1 minute run is over with. You know, this could be people just dumping into this because it's Monday. People have been waiting for the markets to reverse, but you know, ultimately we can fall just as quick as we rose. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and do it. So I just snatched that there. 386 puts. That's in the money right now, although we're sitting right at those levels. And as you can see, we're seeing some pullback now. Currently only down $25 since this morning. Currently up 1% on those 386 puts, 3% on the 373s, and still down 30% on the 368s. But I'm only negative $18 as of right now. Look at that rejection. This is what I was trying to, prepare everybody for. Now we could bounce off of this top EMA too. That's something to watch for. I'm not saying that this is the end of it, end of the run, but indicators show that we're potentially going to pull back down a little bit. Expect the 5 minutes to follow. Did an RSI bounce like I told you guys before, where we hit the RSI in pre-market and then pulled back and then hit that RSI again. I expected to actually do a double RSI jump in market with market open. Look at my daily trading log. As you can see, we're seeing U.S. equities pull back. The VIX is picking up, only up by 0.12% though, so not a terrible jump. Gonna definitely keep watching that moving forward. I want to do this so I can just swing my windows. So we saw that bounce in BNGO. I'm not saying that this isn't a stock you can buy right now and just hold it forever. So, market moves like this is something to not necessarily be heavily concerned about with things that you're holding long term. That's the thing about long term investments, is that regardless of what the markets do, you have the confidence enough in them to stay in them for the longer term trade. And I'll probably do this for about 11 minutes, 11 more minutes, and give you guys an update later today. Because I see some people hopped off here. We're breaking back below 385. And I just went green. So I'm currently up 6% on the last, 7% on my last option put I bought, and 10% on the second, and only down negative 24% on the first. Below the 385 now. I expect this to continue moving forward. As we're seeing a pullback on the lower time frames, the 1 minute showing signs of pulling back. Like I said, though, we could bounce off of this 34 EMA easily and continue moving higher. But with the 10-year Treasury yield is still picking up. It's at 1.92 or 1.594 now. Excuse me. Bounced off of that 384.78, 76. I want to see how it holds above that. But if it ultimately pops above right here, then I'm going to just get out of these puts and call it a day. If it doesn't, as you can see, we just broke below it. Then it was a fake out more than a breakout. And we'll retest those 380, 350s next. Who all is with us still? If you don't mind me asking. Let's look at the NQ. Had some strong bounce back to the looks like the I don't know if that's a issue right here. Somebody said eyes is doing something. I want to see what it's doing. Oh wow. I did a review on this last week, and I said that we needed to get above right here. that 983, and it looks like it broke right out above that with the momentum. Momentum took it there and was able to break. So that's why I use these indicators, because it shows me that ultimately out for a few. Cool. Like I said, I'm only going to be running for about 9 more minutes, and then if the markets are going to pick up, then I got a lot of work to do in scouring some potential trades and sharing with you guys. If you haven't already, be sure to at least get your free membership at the platform so you can get some of our updates moving forward. Trying to decide if I'll be trading today. I mean, ultimately, I think the deciding factor is, these support levels at the. Of course, we broke through. Like I said, we broke through the 384.76, and it looks like it's tapping that. Momentum showing to the downside, but it could churn sideways, even though the indicators are showing that. But ultimately, what I've been paying attention to for the past few weeks is the 383.50. We need to stay above that if we expect the markets to continue moving forward. What I'm doing right now is basically capturing gains to the upside, hit my daily minimum. I can get out of the trade today. Currently up. Oh, my phone just died. So let's look over here. Currently up $67. First trade is still down negative 18%. Second is up 15%. Third is up 10%. And that third one was the in the money put option I bought at 386. Now, if I ride that one all the way back down to 376, that's $10. I'll make $500 off that put option. I'm going to look at some of these a little bit more. If this falls $10, I'll make another $200 there, and then another $140 right here at least, minimum. So I'm looking at like doubling my account again. And as you can see, we're finding strong resistance now at that 384.76. I think that markets may have got ahead of themselves, thinking that, we're going green. This is what I was talking about yesterday. And ultimately, after I get beyond my my daily minimum, I can honestly start closing out some of these trades. My initial trade only down negative 17%, 18%, and then up 18% on my secondary put option, 20% now, and then up about 14% on my third in the money put option that I bought. Of course, we're retesting that 384.76, so see what happens there. Back up above it, 385 now. Probably should have went ahead and captured my gains and called it a day, because I was right at my minimum, a little bit underneath it, but I'm still positive right now, so I can give this some time to do what it's going to do. 1 minute showing potential reversal and retest to that top line. Like I said, if we break above that top line, I'm hopping out of the trades altogether. How I had it set up is I was going to do half of my portfolio on put options and then the other half on calls, but the way that it reacted to that top trend line was my concern there. I'm still positive overall so far. Trey bouncing back up a little bit. Do some work on the side while I'm waiting on it. What are you guys looking at trading? If you do hop in the markets, I know some people are trying to decide if they're even going to trade today. What are you guys eyeing? We can look at it while we wait on this. I do have a second tab. I see some people in the chat on Facebook. If you're new here to YouTube, I shared it with you earlier. Be sure to hit me up on Facebook, and I will add you to our chat so that you can discuss trades with us throughout the day, not just on our live trading sessions. Let me pull that back out a little bit. Eyes looking pretty good. I'm going to share that link again. Feel free to add me on there, and I'll add you to our groups. And our chat ultimately. Well, that's what's up. To Carlos shouted me out in his Facebook group. I appreciate that, man. I'm not sure if you're here with us right now or not, but thank you. Been getting a lot of support from you guys. We just hit 200 subscribers last week. Wasn't expecting to pass 100. I appreciate all the support, all the love. Glad that we're able to learn together. That's what it's about. It's not about me, selling you trade alerts or anything like that. I'm about focused on, improving everybody as a team. If we all improve together, then we can become a trading team together, and we can find opportunities that one person may not be looking at. We can learn how to deal with market downturns like what we're dealing with. As you can see, the SPY is dropping out terribly. I should be back pretty positive. I'm back above my daily minimum. And to be honest, I blew past my daily minimum actually. But I'm looking at potentially $800 on holding on to these calls. If we break that 383.50, then it's definitely gonna occur. Although momentum is showing to the upside right now, so I'm not saying the market's gonna pull back too heavily right now as of right. But I want those confirmations that it's gonna break that 383, which is this purple line right here. I'm gonna turn it green because that's our money sign on our put options, and then ultimately this reversal trend line within that midterm trend that we've been following here. If we break down, we're coming back down to the 373s, and honestly, that's a little bit more than, that's the $10 drop I was going after. So if it hits 373 again, then I'm banking in about $800 off this trade, and I'll double my account for the second day in a row. So let's see what happens. Currently up about 180 right now. Higher, almost 2 times my daily minimum for me to sit here with you guys and do this every day. Like I said earlier, if you haven't already, at least go get your free membership at Millennial Investments so you can get some of these updates that we're pushing out through our platform. Platforms focus on our trade tracking tool so you can learn from the trades that you're making and making better decisions moving forward. And then we have our due diligence community database where you can contribute DD on stocks that you're looking at to share with other members. That's a completely free tool. The trade tracker is our premium tool. And then we're also going to be adding a review requests platform for our YouTube channel. If you want trades done in depth as far as a full DD analysis, fundamental analysis, technical analysis, feel free. I'll start sharing the links on in every description, also in our live trading chat, so that you can request for DD to be completed on trades that you're interested in. But I just wanted to share that with you. The app was submitted to what's up, Pascal? How you doing, man? Haven't seen you in a few days at least, I know. I was waiting on a bull or bear. Well, that's where we're currently looking at. As you can see, we are retesting those 380, 350 levels. If we break below that, then I expect this to come back down at least to 380.08. I want to see how it reacts there. I got about a few more minutes in this. But seems like we're picking up people following the live chat, so I don't want to just leave you guys hanging just because you're jumping back in. 5 minute indicating that we are going to continue pulling back unless we see a reversal here in the next few minutes. 10 minutes to follow that. So I think ultimately we're going to break below those levels. I was up like $200 already on those put options, but based on what the momentum's showing me, we are going to pull back a little bit more before we can continue moving higher. And like I said, that next level to pay attention to is right around this 380.08 level. As you can see, it's played support before. I have all my price trend lines in place already that I can add back in here. We can pull some of this other stuff out so you can kind of get an idea on that. Shorter term can come out. This. Let me see. Pull that back out. Why did I have that in there? I don't even know I had that in there. I have a miscellaneous group I think I built just for this because I was doing all this trend analysis on this to kind of give you guys an idea of what we're looking at and what to expect and stuff. But to bring back in my price ranges, let's see, that 380, 350 level. Of course, the 384. I need to put that in my price ranges because I want to keep that moving forward, seeing that we are finding that resistance there. Currently up above my daily minimum to sit here with you guys. Still pay my bills is ultimately the goal. That's why I started the account. And it's kind of funny, I did that in correlation to doing these videos with you guys, because you can kind of see how I'm playing the markets at the same time in real time with real trades. So let's see here. Anybody have any trades you want to look at? Like I said, put it in the chat. We can look at them real quick. But of course, a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines and watching the markets, see how they're reacting. 5 minutes showing potential pullback. I can clear a lot of this up and we can kind of see. Let me pull the drawings out at least so we can see. Indicator that we're pulling back down a little bit. We might retest the RSI before it does it. 10-minute to follow. I can kind of pick this up a little bit so you can kind of get a better view of it. 15-minute coming right behind it. So, you know, a lot of people had high expectations that the markets were going to bounce due to the stimulus package being approved and stuff like that. 1 hour is something I've been watching since last week, and we kind of topped out based on this right here. And I think we're going to start to see a reversal back to the downside. We'll retest those 373 levels. I've been saying that we're going back to 368 for some time now. And after seeing what we saw last week, of course, Jay Powell had to open his mouth, and it ultimately pulled down on the markets overall and caused some issues. But I just want to stick with you guys a little bit longer and see how this goes. 1 minute showing that we can continue churning sideways a little bit longer, but if we break below the 383.50, I think this is just going to blow out the bottom, or at least going to retest the 380s. And I could potentially hop out of here, hop out of these trades and be happy with it. Still above my minimum for the day. So let me see what the chat's talking about on Facebook. Like I said, if you haven't already, shoot me a friend request. It's in the chat already. So you can join our Facebook chat. We also have our Discord community at Investors Talk, free educational community. Has a lot of tools that could help you get straight to the point that I might not necessarily be focused on. So I always recommend checking them out. That's why we partner with them. I love what they're doing over there. So they're constantly talking about chats. I actually have it. If I were to show you, this is what I look at all day. Is my Investors Talk community. See what they're talking about in here. And then our Facebook chat, of course, over here as well. So I'm constantly monitoring as I can what I can do up here. So I actually pretty much rebuilt. I have a screen up here. I wish I could like pull my phone out and show you guys. I have a screen right here, my chats and my account overview right here, and then what we're looking at down here, of course, is my main screen. And then I have 2 additional screens to my right side so that I can do other things on the move, like research and announcements through the platform and stuff. Now you see we're back at that 383.60 levels. Retesting that 383.50 is ultimately what I'm watching for in order to capture the gains I want. I want it below those levels. My third trade, my 386 put option currently up 20%. My 373 put option up 26%, and that 368 that I bought a little bit too early is still down about negative 12%, but I'm still up ultimately. Seeing some nice bounces up and down between the 384.50 and or 384.76 and the 383.50. So maybe we see some churn, but it's ultimately about where we're at when we get to this point right here. Yeah, everything I profited just broke in half from that recent bounce. Looks like it's trying to swing here. It hasn't really went into oversold status, and with the exception of about 6 o'clock this morning. Let me see where the markets are on our log. So, seeing some pullback in U.S. equities. The VIX is up about 1.87% since we last tracked it, but ultimately down from 4.98 since this morning at 6:30. Uh-oh, might be picking up on me. Let's see what we're looking at. Until we stay above that 384.76, I'm gonna feel pretty safe. But the longer this red trend line I'm going to call it the intraday trend line because it started since Friday. This intraday trend line is showing that we should have the momentum to break above those 386 levels. Of course, it didn't this morning. That's what we were looking for. But as long as we stay below 384.76, I'll be positive for the most part. Of course, these are 7-day holds. I could let this ride out for the next few days, probably about 2 to 3 days, maybe into Wednesday. Expect a reversal, and this is what I'm expecting. Here's one Hive. I know a lot about Hive. We can look at that over here. Eyes is popping today. It was popping last week. This was after they got FDA approval on their I can't remember the name of the device, but I did some research on it and did a review. You can check that out on the channel. What I would watch out for with Hive is this 482 level. That's where that 34 EMA is sitting, and as you can see, it bounced right off the top of it. But I mean, it does have some headroom to the upside to pay attention to. Let me do some analysis on it real quick. Some trend analysis real quick. Like right there is something I want to pay attention to, is the 352, how it finds its support levels there. There's a nice gap up between the $4 level and 439. It's already filled, and we're currently trading about that price, or a little bit above it, excuse me. But look to find that as additional support to base your trades off of. If you were to get into this, put a stop loss at the 436, but it's still about 33 cents short. Back up above 385 now. So once again, I'm still going to hold until I see we pop that top line trend. Ultimately, my comfort zone is between 384.76 and 383.50. 1 minute looks like we're trying to pick up, but the 5 minute was showing otherwise. It could have been a slight sell. As you can see, it's kind of going green. I said it could pop back up and retest that RSI level at the top before we ultimately fall. 10 minute looked like it was showing some pullback, but ultimately still in an uptrend right now. I'm still holding. I'm going to look at this other one real quick. TS. I didn't finish with Hive. Hive, the level of resistance I would pay attention to is how it reacts to that 623. So you could potentially get about 50% off the trade, a little bit less than that, about 30 to 40% off the swing if we retest that 626. I want to see how it correlates with the rest of the market. Ultimately, it's what I've been paying attention to. And basically using that to identify, if the markets pull back up, where can you expect some of these shorter term price targets to be? That being right there. So if the markets pull back up to the 392s, you can expect it to at least hit $6 for sure if we get back to the 395 levels on HIVE, Hive blockchain technology. And ultimately too, you have to consider what Bitcoin's doing. So BTC USD. I've been doing my trade analysis on the chart for Coinbase with Bitcoin. So honestly, the SPY can do whatever it wants to do. As long as Bitcoin's moving up, you can expect this. I wonder where Bitcoin is, because I was actually watching that for all of our Bitcoin plays and trying to see. Give me that new price panel. It's at 50,000 right now. I said it needed to be above the 49,194. Let's do it this way. So as you can see, it's riding off of that, and I'm pretty sure the SPY correlates with it. SPY currently at 385.42. Gonna go in the lower time frames, see what our momentum's looking like. See if we're gonna top out at that RSI on the 5 minute right here, or if it's just gonna let loose and fall. Currently down $23, so not mad at all. The last two put options are still positive. Currently down $30, so I could hold this out while we wait to retest these levels and not, be too concerned. I do know that once it breaks above it, that the algos are going to kick in and the market's going to go nuts to the upside, but ultimately it has to do that first for those triggers to be put in place. I honestly try to consider the markets how a computer would think about it, if that makes any sense. And I make a lot of my judgment calls based off of that, not my human emotion, but my trend analysis, what the chart's telling me, the momentum indicators are showing, and stuff like that. And as you can see, we're topping out. We're seeing some pullback on the 1 minute. I really don't follow the 1 minute too strong. It does give me a sense of direction, minute by minute, but 5 minute and up is what I focus on. 5, 10, 30, 1 hour, and 4 hours. And I analyze momentum on all of those trades. All of those time frames and how they correlate with each other. Like, for instance, the 4 hour showing that we're seeing a reversal on the 4 hour. But last week we saw a reversal on the 1 hour. And it actually just kind of faked out on us right here. And then right here as well. And that's when I was kind of freaking out. I showed you guys that trade. I'm not going to go into it too much more. Back below 385 right now, as I expected, from what the lower time frames were telling us. But this is an intraday trade, swing trade that I'm conducting here. I'm just going to snatch up what I can on the low end of this, on the bottom. If we're going to continue moving down until we receive the confirmation that we're going above the 386, then I'm not going to hold my breath that this is going to keep continuing to the upside. We are seeing some compression right here at these zones, so definitely something to pay attention to. TSXV though, sorry, I'm watching SPY because I'm actively trading it at the same time. TSXV, that's weird. It's not even listed on here. TSXV. It's interesting to do that. Crypto stock being the reason I do that is because, of course, Bitcoin is the market leader. And typically you can sit there and compare the two. Just the Bitcoin price action. And let me see if I can get these to realign properly. There we go. So look at it. It's pretty much the same, right? So that's why I do that. You can follow where some of these companies are going to go based on where Bitcoin's going. Of course, they're listed on the markets. Let me see if this is on the NASDAQ. Or it's this is actually. Are you talking about Hive crypto coin? Or no, the mining company. Yeah, right. So blockchain technologies. It's actually on the Canadian. It's on the TSXV. I'm sorry. My bad. I misread what you wrote. So it wouldn't be on the SPY, but at least follow it on Bitcoin. I see where your statement comes from. All right, at 385.71. So how far am I down right now? I'm down about $50. But once again, we have to break through these levels. So and the good thing about it is too, Pascal, is that the Bitcoin, yeah, I see what you meant. But Bitcoin is 24/7, so you can always monitor where these stocks are going to go, these crypto plays, based on what Bitcoin is doing. So, let me check some potential trades we can hop into. I'll look at that. Oh, look at there, top of my list, Zomedica Corp. Currently trading at 186, but looks like it's trying to round up on us. Pull out my indicators, pull out the Bitcoin. So this is what my indicators, or this is what my screener looks for. This setup right here. The fact that the price is above the EMAs, but the 12 or the 13 is just now crossing above the 34, but still below the 55. And the fact that the price is riding above the 55, gives me an indication that it's potentially going to jump. So you can see compression on the larger time frames. I actually did an alert on this. I still have it open, and it's currently down about 10% due to the market pullback overall. Let's look to be exact. It's down 13% right now. I alerted on it at 212, and I alerted on it because it broke above that support level, and I was expecting it to break above 235 and let it run. Let's see where we're at. SPY at 385.34. I'm currently down about $11. So I can sit here all day with this one. I'm not gonna sit here all day, but I have some things to do. But you know, I'm just basically doing this trading session so we can see how the market's open for the week and where they're headed ultimately. They did release some wholesale inventory numbers month over month. January 1.3% versus 9% estimates, or 0.9% estimates. CDC is supposed to announce guidelines for vaccinated people. U.S. indices are trading higher following Senate passage of 1.9 trillion stimulus package. Tech stocks saw weakness for the session and amid continued yield concerns. The Fed says extended payroll protection program liquidity facility 3 months to June 30th. Let's see what else is popping out at me. That's about it. As far as any news that would affect the SPY directly. What I'm going to look at is this and see where our VIX is. It's pulled back a little bit. We tracked it at 843. It's 918. I've been doing it about 30 minutes, every 30 minutes or so. So I'll do this again at 923 or 803. Honestly, I could do it now. It's our market transition. Oh, we broke that trend line. Let's see if we stay above it. How low am I? I'm down about $77 right now, just because it simply broke that trend line. I want to see how it reacts to 386.25 first, though, before I just call it a day. Watch it on the 1 minute, actually. Slight rejections there. Of course, we could go sideways for the rest of the week. That is something to always keep in mind, too. I think a lot of people don't even consider that. They're trying to figure out if the market's growing up and down. I've traded the SPY enough where I've seen times where we just went sideways. And it sucks when you're doing options, when you're just trading sideways. Currently at 386.19, so key moment for me, at least, in what I'm trying to do. Of course, we could find support above that midterm trend line that we've been following, but it's all speculation at this point until we get some confirmations in. Bounce above it, could take off here. I could hop out of this trade and be happy with the day, you know. Lost $100. Ultimate goal is not giving back your profits. Who all is left in here with us? What positions do you have? I'm going to hold this about 10 more minutes. See, there we go. The algo's kicking in. Oh, taking off. Looks like I'm going to hop out. But, of course, I'm going to wait for my confirmations. So I could take a $100 loss right now. This could honestly reverse. What I'm going to look at is this right here. Oh, my magnet's not on that. It's going to make a difference. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm. How would you guys feel if I played like a little bit of background music moving forward in our trading sessions? I was thinking about that the other day. That way it's just not so quiet while we sit here and wait for some of these things. Let's see if we can hold above that 386, 425. Key moment. Whether or not I'm going to be trading for the rest of the day. On this personal account, looks like I'll be looking over here. Let's see. I need to be doing that while I'm waiting, at least. Man, my scanner list is deep. I'm looking at like, jeez, how many is that? Let's do a scan. I'll get you a total number. 79 stocks have hit my scanner this morning. So as you can see, I have my work cut out for me today. I have to go through all of these and figure out the best opportunities to hop in. Oh, broke that trend. Let's see what happens. Could be twisting here. Let me reset the chart. There it goes. Let's see if we come back into that trend line. It's been, for the most part, as you can see, I mean, we've broken out pretty heavily from this trend line, but for the most part, it's stuck true to it in these market downturns, and that's the only reason I'm still in these trades right now. Currently down $87. I want to see how it bounces off of this right here. If we find that support right there, then I'm hopping out. And if it stays above 386.25, I'm hopping out. Seeing a slight pullback, so let's see. One thing I did notice is my intrabar volume is not showing up for some reason, one reason or another. Looks like we're going back into that trend line now. I went from negative $87 to negative $54 just from it crossing that line. And as you can see, the support broke. Just could bounce off the EMAs though. Continue moving higher. Albeit, I will say this. I'm only shorting the markets because I think they're going to pull back. Ultimately, I want them to come back up so everybody can make the money that they're looking to make off the trades they've been making and currently seeing a lot of red in. So, I'm not trying to be a pessimist about it. I'm just following what the markets are telling me. If we look at U.S. Treasury yields, they've been sitting at about 157, 160, or 158, 160 for the most part. They actually jumped from 155 to 158 this morning, and they've been hovering around those levels since. I'm gonna go back to this. Yeah, it broke down from that. As you can see, there's that support that I was talking about. We needed to find above the trend line. I'm currently down $90 now. So that's all the algos kicking in. Jumping off the EMAs. 120 now. Stop watching. They're playing games. Remove so much games from people. That is true. O'Shea, I'm not sure if you're here on the chat with us, but yep. You're right. As far as SNDL. A lot of investor sentiment on it though. Getting a lot of rejections on the, starting to see some rejections around those 386.25 levels that I identified earlier. But it is finding that support above the top line trend that we've been following. I wish I could go. I'm gonna go back a little bit, back into here. See, we didn't find that type of support. uh, we tried to right here. And I want to point that out is because the same thing can happen right here. Is it double taps it a little bit and breaks below it, and then bounces back into the trend ultimately. If it does, it's going to send us back through this this channel we've been trading in. Um, this is our shorter term channel. And this is actually only since Friday. And within that channel, it could bounce up to 390s easy, but I'm not sure if that's going to occur. I'm just watching at this point with you guys. Let's see what happens, if I'm getting out of this or not. $386.64 on the top side. I think if it breaks through that, I'm just going to call it a day because I'm down 125 now. If it doesn't, I'm looking at 800 plus on the downside if we go back to 373. Got about 2 more minutes. I'm going to watch this with you guys, and then I'm probably going to have to hop off here, take care of some other responsibilities. That's what I was looking at. Scott B. Man, sit here and watch this all day. I think that's what I did Friday. Was no matter where I was watching the SPY all day, watching my money double. I really want to see if we stay above that 386.25 now. Oh. Oh, wow. Jesus. Look at that. Those algos, boy. Shit. Oh, excuse me. Forgot I was trying to keep this channel clean. That was a surprise. Alright, hopping out. I'll go ahead and hop out of these. I'm going to go ahead and hop off here. It's right at 9:30, so I will be giving updates through the Facebook chat. Feel free to hit me up. Looks like we're breaking above that midterm trend. Let's see if we stay above it. That has to be above at least the 385.87 at least. So just be careful not to let some of these things make you assume that it's a breakout and it potentially fake out and break down. We did assume this was going to occur where we would break up, retap this level and break up above, especially with sentiment from the stimulus checks coming into play now. So, I'm not surprised. I just didn't think that, from yesterday's gap up that the markets reacted to it properly. And that's where I got my assumption that we were going to pull back. Currently at 387 now. Currently down 160 on my options. So I can pull out of this. Still up overall about 500% on the initial 100 I put in this small account challenge that I've been doing here. But I'm going to watch it a little bit more. I might hold just a little bit longer because I could be missing on some gains. It's this, like I said, what's capturing my eye now is the fact that it had these types of pullbacks last week when Jay Powell opened his mouth. And I think we could potentially see the same thing here. A set of rejections to pull back. So I'm not sure what my exit on this option is going to be exactly. I know I said I was going to get out about 386.25, but I'm really just, I don't want to miss the opportunity to capture some of those gains on the downside. But ultimately, it's 9:31. I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here. Like I said, be sure to add me on Facebook so I can add you to our group chat. And we can continue discussing these trades throughout the day while I'm on the move. Got to get to my other business and take care of it for the day today, so I won't be able to sit here too much longer. As much as I wish I could, I see some people started hopping back in here with us. I always feel like y'all hop in when I'm about to hop out, and then I'm like, I'm gonna sit here a little bit longer, but I can't do that this morning. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for showing your support. Like I said, we just hit 200 subscribers. Wasn't expecting that at all. Been getting a lot of love from everybody. I appreciate it. If anything, if I can actually do anything, it's to share the channel with other people. Just spread the word that we're simply just doing these coffee and stock sessions, sitting down and looking at trades together. That's why I do this, is to look at the trades you want to and stuff. So if there's any trades that you want to review or an in-depth DD review on, I will be doing a YouTube request type page that I'll share with you guys almost every day in the chat, that you can go in and just continue adding. Quick update, real quick. The mobile app, in regards to that, it was submitted finally to Google. We hashed out everything we needed to with them, submitted it to them. They're going to approve it or go through the review process. Of course, with the pandemic, a lot of approvals have been pushed back and stuff like that. But we're going to be looking for a response this week at least on it, and that way you can have some of these features right at your fingertips. I'm going to try to set it up where you can have the YouTube video there with a YouTube request right below it if you want to use that on the mobile app, and then hopefully look at potentially adding this live chat for YouTube on it as well. So looks like we're breaking out of that midterm trend though. Let's make sure we stay above that 385 level moving forward. Like I said, at least 386 is a comfort level to keep in mind, and something to pay attention to. But ultimately, I'm going to go ahead and hop off here, guys. I appreciate your time and all the support for sure. So like I said, let me know if y'all have any questions in the Facebook chat anytime. I can do some quick reviews on the videos, on the stocks you're looking at. But otherwise, have a good day. Good luck trading. It looks like we're going to have a green week, at least for now, with stimulus talks and stuff like that. So I hope you guys make some money ultimately.